Hi everyone, and welcome to the Practice Growth with Pras podcast. I'm your host, Pras Murthy, CFO and co-founder at Dr. Multimedia, where for the last 10 years I've been helping practices grow all across the country. We started this podcast so we could dive deeper into the issues around practice growth, from online marketing to the way you run your business. We know doctors are busy people and you don't have a lot of time to study these kinds of topics, so we're hoping this audio podcast makes it really easy to stay up to date with what's going around the country. We'll be interviewing top doctors, successful practice managers, and other experts in the field. Without further ado, let's get started. And welcome everyone. We're so happy to have you today for yet another episode of the Practice Growth with Pras podcast. And today we want to talk yet again to one of our staff members here named Mark, who's been working on a special project called Doctor Academy. We gave you guys a bit of a teaser on a previous episode, just to kind of talk about the big picture. And we want to dive in a little bit deeper so you can know a little more what to expect, maybe some examples of the kinds of training that are on there, and really explore some of the issues to show you guys what the value in it would be. So, Mark, last time I know we talked about kind of the why behind what we were doing and making a training course. It was pretty big picture type things. You know, there's a need for this, doctors are busy, staffs need to be trained. But let's maybe keep it more specific, at least to start off. So if I'm a doctor, Dr. Murthy, now what am I supposed to do with Doctor Academy? Let's say I've signed up. So now what? I bought this great service. Pras and Mark have been talking about it. I get my username and password. Now what?
Yep, so the first step you want to take is definitely share this with your staff as soon as possible, because we have a lot of great content in there for you to really improve what you already have, whether it's your website, your social media, ads, what have you. So you want to get this in the hands of your staff, because doing this by yourself is probably going to be too big of a task. You want to share the wealth of knowledge that we have in the course among your staff, so that way they can all share what they've learned, bounce ideas off each other, and figure out what gaps do we have in our current online presence that we should fill. So for example, if you guys are rocking it on your website, but your Facebook page is kind of looking more like a ghost town than not, maybe that's what you should focus on for the next quarter or next few months of the year. And that way, when you go into Doctor Academy, you can go to the social media section and really focus in on that. So I would say signing in, looking at what we have to offer, and go to the top that interests you most, or you can of course start from the very beginning, go all the way to the end if you want to do like an organized training type of deal, and then focus in where you see, or where you at least you feel you have gaps in your presence, and then figure out from there who's going to be responsible for that. If you have a social media manager or someone in charge of marketing, something like that. And then have them go through all the steps that we have to check off what you're doing well and figure out what gaps you have, and then implement those strategies.
Perfect. So just in case any of our listeners missed the previous episode, we should obviously take a quick step back and explain that Doctor Academy is and jump in, if you have anything to add to the description, but Doctor Academy is an online course to teach digital marketing specifically for a medical practice. So it is a place where a doctor and their staff can log in and take classes and learn different topics such as the website, social media, reputation management, pay-per-click ads, and really be taught this material and be provided some action items on what to do. So it's not just a ebook, it's not just an audit. It's really meant to be a course like a CE, actually even more than a CE, because most CEs are just kind of 1 or 2 days, but a set of materials that you work through to develop mastery over these certain topics. So everybody knows a little bit about websites. Everybody knows a little bit about social media. Few people have ever sat down and gone from beginning to end in something that was thoughtfully laid out to explain it. And obviously what makes it special, and the reason Dr. Multimedia is producing it, is this is based entirely on our experience with doctors' offices. It's specifically for doctors' offices, so it's not just general internet tips and tricks. So in Well, first of all, how'd I do? Do you think that's right? Is there anything you would want to add to that?
Great summary. And the only thing I would add to that is that one of the benefits is that this is not some sort of program that you buy and install on your computer, and you always have to, work just at your workstation. It's online, it's digital, so you can log in from anywhere you are, whether it's popping it up on your smartphone and listening on your commute to work, before, after hours, wherever. But as long as you have your username and password, access at your convenience.
Well, as long as we're talking about features, then I also want to throw in that, it's video-based, so you're not sitting there just reading through endless amount of text. It's interactive, so you actually are asked questions and can pick answers. You can rewind, you can move forward. It's really built on a really, impressive platform, if I do say so myself, in terms of it really being meant to teach and made for learning and made for interactivity. So this is not reading a chapter out of a textbook. This is not just watching a boring video. This is actually engaging and participating with people from Dr. Multimedia, both in the writing and on the video itself. So, okay, so let's drill down into some more specifics. So you can talk about theory all day, every day, and it doesn't always help. So if I'm a busy office manager, I'm the front desk girl who's also been tasked with managing social media, how do I use this, or maybe what are some specifics from your writing that are actually going to make a real difference in my daily job or in the practice?
In terms of
so yeah, I'm at the front desk. Like you said, the first step is the doctor needs to share this with everybody. So he comes by and he drops off a Post-it note that says, go to this link. Here's the username and password, right? That's about all our staff members are going to get from our doctors half the time. Right. It's just the delegating it down. So, okay, I'm signing up, I'm listening to the social media chapter. What are some of the things that I might walk away from? And you can even give away bits and pieces of the course here, but what are some of the things I might walk away from that will actually make a real world difference?
Sure, I'd say the main focus that we took with this course is to make sure that you guys are implementing the right things at the right time for your practice. So, for example, you go create a business page for your practice, and you looked at the back end of all the admin tools you have. There's probably 200 or 300 settings that you could be tweaking and drive yourself crazy. We don't want you to be, taking on a new full-time job in addition to what you're already doing. We want to supplement and work alongside your practice management in a very specific, laser-focused way, so that way you're only doing the most beneficial things to help you grow your practice online. So once you start going through each course that we have, whether it's social media, your website, paid ads, what have you, each one has a list of chapters under each course that break down the fundamentals and some more advanced tips and tricks as well. So as you go through that, and as you complete each chapter, what you'll walk away with is true actionable steps that you can take that will make a meaningful difference in terms of what your patients see. So for example, if you haven't started an Instagram account and you feel like you do have a lot of good visual content, let's say you're a dentist and you've got a very attractive lobby, nice procedural rooms, patients, patient pictures, what have you, we show you how to take a bare bones Instagram account and fill it out properly, so that way it's very attractive to potential patients. So when they come to your page, it's like, oh, your name is prominently listed. Your bio has the right things to really capture attention and drive them to take action. For example, call you or book an appointment. The pictures that you post, we guide you through what types of content to put out there to, again, capture attention. So that way you're not wasting your time doing what you think or feel might work. Rather, it's like,
there we go.
Do these specific things, and you will for sure have a certain level of success with drawing attention and bringing in new leads to your practice.
Cool, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I like what you said there at the end, which is probably at 99% of our doctor's offices, people are just figuring it out on the fly. They're experimenting, they're trying one thing, they're doing what they think will work, but there's not really any guidance. They don't take that approach to any other part of their medical practice, I hope. They're following, they're kind of following the rules of science or the rules of medicine. So in that way, for our listeners, I think what we're trying to do is establish the rules of online marketing or the rules of websites or the rules of social media as we see them now. And then one of the other great features of this is that it's not static. This isn't a video that's up on YouTube from 2016 that you're watching years later. It's updated in real time. We'll be adding new chapters, adding new courses, tackling new topics. Obviously, one of the most frustrating things about online marketing is things can change. They can even make a 180 turn from how they used to be. And so materials out there, can't keep up. But this actually, we could say, oh, well, that chapter doesn't make sense anymore. Delete and upload this new one that we filmed at the studio. So it kind of a play-by-play, if you will, but I feel like it's even a little bit more than that. It's more than just kind of guidance on how to post on Instagram. I like to think that we're kind of giving them some training wheels as to where to start, especially if you're starting from nothing. It's actually easy. But if you've been doing it and you just haven't been doing the right things, it's hard to even know the difference. So that said, I know you you mentioned this earlier, was you can kind of go through a checklist and see where a practice is. I mean, if you're a Dr. Multimedia client, a lot of these things are handled for you. But if you're not, I think there's even more utility for this course. So in what ways will they be able to audit, if that's the right word, or evaluate what they currently have going on? Because most people already have a website. They already have a Facebook. They're not starting from scratch. Right. So how could this course benefit even someone like that?
Yep, so we took more, the approach that we took with this whole course is not necessarily teach you how to code your own website from scratch, right? Which would be a waste of your time, effort, money, the whole deal. That's a lot of work. So instead what we do is show you examples of what works based on what we've seen with our clients over the course of many years, and show you, hey, when you view your home page, do you have your title here? Do you have this header? Do you have a lot more visual than you do text? So the whole thing is taught from a way that's more of a checklist type of methodology with visual examples. So you can see, do this, don't do this. Mm-hmm. And that's really helpful. So if you already have your web presence up and running, and you have for a number of years, that's great. You're ahead of a lot of other people who really haven't prioritized that yet. But nonetheless, when we give you the checklist type of teaching, you can go through your website, for example, pull it up in another tab as you're going through our training, and kind of go back and forth. Say, oh, do I have that? Or again, like I mentioned earlier, identify gaps that you may not have, or check out the things that you do. And that makes it very simple for people to follow and to feel good about what they have, and also draw attention to the things that they need to focus on going forward to really revamp and accelerate their brand presence online. Okay,
yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Now, let's give them, let's kind of lift up the hood and give them some insight here. What's your favorite chapter, whatever that means to you, or what's one of your favorite chapters?
Actually, the one I'm working on right now, which is on paid advertising. I'm really enjoying that course itself, and I think you guys will too, simply because when you get into the world of paid advertising, it takes what you've built and really amplifies it faster than you could ever imagine, especially once you learn how to spend your money in the right way so that's effective. The example I like to give people is, if you could spend $100 and make $400, would you do that?
Of course.
Hopefully, yes. And I would do that all day long.
Yeah, right.
So, fortunately, unfortunately, digital marketing is not an exact science. You do have to test one thing versus another and learn as you go. But once you find, for example, the right visual with the right copy and the right message that really resonates with your potential buyers, and you start to see a return on your spend, it really validates that, like, hey, I found what works, let me do more of that. Then you get a sense of confidence of putting more budget behind your materials and really expanding your reach and viewership online.
Cool. So give us some tidbits or some nuggets from this paper. You're working on it now, so the paid advertising chapter. What are some things of interest or things that jump out at you, directly from the course? We'll let our listeners get a couple of bits for free here.
Yeah, I won't give away too much. Again, this is still in the development phase. It'll be wrapped up pretty soon. You guys, again, will love this part of the course because paid advertising is one of those things that you know about, but most people haven't implemented themselves effectively. But one of the things that I'm including in this course is how to really be relevant and specific. So you could target, you know, a lot of people want to do keyword stuffing, just put everything that's potentially relevant, like I'm going to target dentist and dental practice and dental hygiene and cosmetic dentistry and all the things, and spend a ton of money and then not really see a great return. So rather than just casting a wide net, I'm teaching you guys how to be very specific and direct with what you're doing to target locally, so you get people who can actually are close enough to drive to your practice, and for a specific reason. Because when you're searching online, unlike viewing a random Facebook ad, you have a specific intent. So I would assume, you know, if you go to Google, Pras, and you search for something, you're probably further along in the buying experience than someone who's just searching broadly. Would you agree?
Sure.
So,
well, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference between searching for dentistry versus dentist in San Diego near me or something like that.
Right.
You're probably getting closer to, all right, as soon as I find someone who is close enough, has good reviews, and looks good, I'm probably going to pick up the phone and call because I'm interested in getting my teeth cleaned or whatever.
Yeah, I would actually even take that a step back. I would say if I'm typing in something like, you know, pain in my gums, or, you know, my gums are receding. If I'm asking dental questions, the seed has kind of been planted that I might need to go see a professional, as opposed to, like you're saying, you know, dentist open now, which is I need to get in, you know, tonight or tomorrow morning or as soon as possible.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to pay for keywords like dentistry, that's a very broad term, high competition. You're probably going to have a very high cost per click and burn a lot of money. Versus if you're targeting locally and someone's searching for gum pain and your ad comes up because you can treat that within a 15-mile radius, that'll be money pretty well spent because there's high intent, it's specific, it's local, and that's what I'm teaching you guys how to do, is to spend your money in the right channel to really get people who are very close to wanting to book their appointment and come see you.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I hope that's a good sneak peek for some people. Yep. Paid ads can be a little abstract, so what's another chapter that you've enjoyed as well?
I'd say social media, and the reason I like that one is because unlike a website or a static piece like a flyer, or heck, if you have a budget for a billboard, all the more power to you, but those are more one-sided messages, right? You put it out there, people see it, they read it, and they may act, they may ignore and drive right by or walk by. But with social media, you're really building a relationship with your current and potential audience. And so to me, when I see doctors doing social media the right way, there are very few things that do a better job of building trust with people and opening the doors to invite them into your practice. Because for a lot of patients, especially if they're going to a new healthcare provider for the first time, they have a lot of hesitancies or reservations, like especially with the dentist. They're kind of scared of the process, so is this going to hurt, so on and so forth. So when you put out videos and pictures of your practice, you on camera talking in a very cordial way, showing what you're all about and who your staff is, what your environment and your practice is like, it really puts people at ease, and they get to know you almost like a friend. It's like a trusted professional friend, and that can do a lot in terms of attracting new patients as well as building retention long term.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now you mentioned that the course is going to tell people what to do and what not to do. So what are some social media don'ts then?
There are plenty, but for example, the one I'll say actually might surprise you. And so do not try to be perfect.
Okay, that did surprise me a little bit. What do you mean?
And it surprised me too. As I was writing this, even in my own life, if you're trying to make this perfect presence, chances are you won't get very far. Because if you overthink every video, every picture, you're editing, and 5 rounds with your captions, and you're trying to more, I guess, please yourself than you are your audience, that'll come back to bite you. It's way more important to learn by speed, as I like to say. So rather than spending all week to get one post out, it's much better to just let yourself be genuine and authentic, and get 2, 3, 4 posts out, because that way you're going to reach more people, and again, communicate with your audience more often and build a deeper relationship. So don't be perfect, and this goes for anything. You want to be professional, have a modern, clean design on your web, and on every other channel as well. But part of what I teach in this course is also the mindset you want to have. So it's not just do this, do that. It's also how to think like a business owner and someone who runs an effective practice. You're not here to be the next social media YouTube star. You're here to build a presence that relates to an audience, that helps them feel I just more at ease in terms of doing business with you. You want to have the relationship more than anything else, and you do that by offering yourself not perfect content 24/7.
Huh. So it's okay to make mistakes.
Totally okay. And we actually encourage it, because that you learn way more through mistakes than you do by being perfect. Because if you overthink and you set it for a week and then you publish something and it doesn't do very well, you've wasted a whole week.
Yep. Time is a factor as
well.
It is. But yeah, no, I think that's very interesting. I think that a lot of people, because it's social media, whether it's your office manager, your receptionist, or a staff member, they really freak out about being in the public eye, right? So if you take a picture and someone doesn't look their best, or if you want to do video but someone's hair is not done, these are real, fears that people have. It kind of equates to public speaking, and so you get a lot of hesitation, from your staff. And it's not quite as easy as just telling them, hey, don't worry about it. We're going to make mistakes. Yeah, don't worry about how your face looks, right now. So maybe let's flesh that out one more step. So if I am the doctor, if I am the office manager, how do I get my practice to just be out there and be more comfortable with making those mistakes, or not get them to not worry about being perfect, and get them to volunteer to just do the video, just like we're doing right now. We didn't plot and plan very much. We're just like, all right, we need to get this done. Let's just actually take the time to sit down and do it. So maybe I just answered my own question, but what advice do you have, or can we offer?
Always have someone who owns every project. So as easy as it sounds, you can't just throw a cell phone on the table and say, hey, somebody do social sometime this week. That's way too broad, and you got to be specific and intentional with everything that you do, again, without overthinking.
Yep.
So I would just recommend you put someone in charge who can spearhead your social media efforts. It doesn't mean they have to be the most camera perfect, just someone who will own the project and lead others. So, and then puts down some general topics for the week. Even if you don't plan a full content calendar for the entire summer season, on Monday, for example, say, hey, we're going to post 2 times this week, and let's do one where it's a patient testimonial, and do one where it is a meet the staff member. So that way you've planted the seeds in your staff's mind to start thinking about those topics. So that way, as each patient comes in during the week, as soon as someone has a great experience and they're willing to be on camera, they'll be ready to take a quick picture, write a caption, and get it up on the spot. So I'd say, as great as it is to plan everything, and you should if you can, if you have a hectic week, just get a couple topics on the table, put one person in charge of it, and then have everybody thinking about and looking for opportunities to make those 2 photo shoots or video shoots happen. It's pretty simple, really.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I think the direction I was going to was just do it. Yes, they might be hesitant, or they might put up some resistance, but just get it done. And if it really sucks and you don't want to use it and you can delete it, that's fine. Right. But you're probably, to your point, better off just putting it out there and letting it be not that great, because you know what? Social media doesn't care tomorrow what you did today, right? So it just kind of floats off into space, and you at least chip away at that hesitation, that fear. It's the volume game, it's the numbers game, it's getting all the posts out there, it's doing it, and I guess you become comfortable in action. People aren't going to get theoretically more comfortable with being on camera or hearing their voice, which freaks a lot of people out, or seeing their picture. You only get there by making it less and less of a big deal, by making it less and less important. I think I would relate that to getting pictures taken for the website is this super traumatic experience for a lot of practices, right? You have to coordinate it, and the photographer comes, and someone doesn't show up, or there's an emergency case, and everything's off. But you can kind of understand it because generally speaking, those pictures go up on the website, and then they're there for years. So people really do want it to be perfect. But if there was a new picture every day on a website, you get to work, you take your picture, it goes on the website as your staff bio page, people would quickly just stop caring at all about it. One, because it's temporary, but two, they just would get used to it and like, all right, yep, this is how it goes. So I think you want to kind of foster that same sense in social media. Again, you have to be professional. You don't want to take it too far, but there's more to be gained by doing it en masse. So, okay, perfect. Well, that was actually more than I planned on talking about, but I think our listeners will find it useful and interesting. And again, just to explain the product, if you're a Dr. Multimedia client, you're going to be one of the first to know when the official launch happens, which is going to be really soon. Yep. But the idea is that we finally created a one-stop shop resource. It's training, it's education, it's really all of those, it's practical advice rolled into one in an interactive way that your staff members, future staff members can make use of and understand basics and even work their way to advanced topics and have kind of a common pool of knowledge to draw from when they're talking about, oh, well, we should do this kind of content or that kind of content. So, we just wanted to talk about it as much as we can, here on the podcast, because these are the topics that we explore every day and dive into it. So anything else that you can think of wanting to share? I know probably no one's more excited for this thing to launch than you are. So what would you share to some of our listeners? They've made it through 20 some odd episodes of this podcast, right? And they feel like they're getting a lot of value. Kind of what is it that's going to help them really take their understanding to the next level or make it more useful for them?
Yes. So what I want to mention to all the listeners out there is that once we launch this, it's not like we're going to train you and then leave you alone to your own devices. Mm-hmm. We still have a full-fledged agency that can help you. So that way you can do as much or as little as you want. The purpose of this course is to empower you with all the tools necessary to learn the fundamentals online. But if anything gets too advanced, like if we go into the nitty-gritty of how to target on Google AdWords, and if that's just overwhelming for you, that's totally okay. Just understanding the concepts will help you have conversations with our agency, for example, if you want to hire us to do that part for you, that we can understand the reports and feel comfortable with what we're doing on your behalf as well. So it's a course to supplement what you currently know and what we currently help you do. It's kind of that nice middle go-between. And on top of that, as we move forward with this podcast series, what I'm looking most forward to is after we release this, is hearing some of the feedback we get from the first batch of users as well. And if you guys have questions, let's say you're going through the website course that we have in Dr. Academy, and there were some things you wanted some more details on or some more clarity, contact us. Write in with your questions, and we're happy to answer them on the podcast live to continue our relationship with you guys. All right, so we're looking forward to the launch coming up. I don't have the exact date yet, or when I do, I wouldn't. I'm not going to say it right now, but it's coming very close. We'll get it out there. We know it's going to be great. You guys will love it. It'll help you a lot grow your presence online. And then I look forward to hearing a lot of reader feedback and questions, and we'll help you guys through any parts that you need more clarity on or want to become better at.
So I was going to let you end today's episode, but you remind me of one more thing that I want to say that I think is an important thing to point out about this platform is that the material is there for you when you're ready for it. And to me, that's right. One of the big differences is, like you said, you might not be ready today to talk about what keywords go in your Google AdWords campaign. But when you are, you just have to access that chapter or that part of the course, and there it is. And so no matter what starting point different people in a practice have, no matter what roles different people in a practice have, no matter what roles change over time, there's this resource that's always being added to that is ready for you or is there for you when you're ready. And I think that's a big difference between kind of the hot thing today of, oh, sign up for this webinar or sign up for this social media marketing course that you attend for 3 days, or go to the talk at the conference that you're at on online marketing.
Yes.
Those all happen to you, and then you try your best to retain it. But in this format, which is why we think it's so much better, is you can watch it 100 times, you can watch it 5 times, you can skip over it, you can go back to it, you can start someone at a different space, you can hand off responsibilities from one person to the next, and know that there's not any drop-off in understanding. So, we're not just going to leave you high and dry, and also the resources are there when you want it. So I do want to thank you, Mark, for taking the time, stepping aside from your writing and your scripting to chat with us. And I hope it was really beneficial and exciting for a lot of our listeners out there, because if they're listening to a podcast on growing their practice, I know that ultimately they're looking for actionable advice and more that they can do, and they're not going to get their staff to sit down and listen to these podcasts. So this is kind of our way of doing that. So yeah, thanks again. Hope you have fun, Mark. I know I did, and we'll talk to everybody soon.
See y'all. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Practice Growth with Pras. I'm your host, Pras Murthy, and if you have any questions or comments, please visit us at drmultimedia.com. Also, be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're constantly sharing new content as part of our mission to take online marketing topics and make them relevant to your practice. And if you like what you heard, please tell a friend and leave us a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. Thanks so much for listening, and we can't wait to do it again.